Hey, welcome. I'm Mark Schultz with Digital Aircraft, and we're here for another episode of Blockchain in Aviation. We're going to be talking about blockchain and how it applies in your business, and we're going to see how can we evaluate our business and how can we determine the right technologies and implement them, in order that we can create success in our business. We don't want to implement the wrong technologies. We don't want to take too long. We want to move things forward swiftly. We want to leverage and be successful in using the right technology for the right business problem. So today we're going to be talking about blockchain in aviation. Hey, I have a guest here today who I'm going to bring in. Let me just jump in and bring him right in. For those of you who've been around for a while, you know that this is Larry Little. He's my guest. He's my business partner. And Larry, how's it going today?
Hey, Mark, it's good to be with you. It's been a while since we've been together. So looking forward to this next little bit to talk about blockchain.
Good. Hey, listen, I've got a lot of new followers in the last few months, and some people may not know who you are and what do you do. And, what was your previous connection to Boeing? Can you just quickly give people a rundown?
Yeah, Mark. Hey, thanks for that. As the banner said, retired Boeing. I've been retired from Boeing about 3 or 4 years. And before that, a long time at Boeing doing a variety of things. I think the last 10 years were really the most fun and innovative. Had the opportunity to run a small business within a really big company. We did some amazing things, I think, to really set a foundation and really change the way that mechanics and engineers interact with maintenance data. We invented and deployed iPad or mobile device solutions for engineers and mechanics, the right information at the right time to the right person. So I think we set a foundation in the industry that's still going strong today.
Oh yeah, well, really, really critical, and we'll get into that a little bit more deeper as we move forward. But for those of you that that don't know, Larry was running the Toolbox organization, and the Toolbox product basically is the maintenance documentation, the technical documentation that supports pretty much all the aircraft at Boeing today. From structured data to unstructured data, from drawings to to maintenance manuals and everything across the board. And the thing that I was the most impressed about, Larry, is when you guys rolled out the Toolbox Mobile Library, the mobile product, just the process that you went through to evaluate what the need in the industry was, and then put a good product in place, and then bring it together with the existing solutions that were at Boeing and then deploy it. I mean, I was just really impressed with that whole process on how that happened.
Yeah, I think you're right, Mark. We kind of built on some existing products, a product called the Portable Maintenance Aid. We kind of started with that. And then we brought in a group of airlines to kind of help us to look at the tools you have today, think about the future, and what could these tools really be? And that's when we moved from the Portable Maintenance Aid to Maintenance Performance Toolbox to maintenance data, real-time on an iPad as a collaboration tool. And I would just say that the airline mechanic input into designing and deploying that tool was probably the most powerful thing we did to have a successful application.
Great, good. So, hey, listen, for those of you watching, what we're going to do is we're going to walk through the process. Larry did a really quick summary of it there, but what we're going to do in a few minutes is we're going to talk about how do you look at your own business and what the business needs are? How do you look at technology that's out there? And then how do we consider blockchain and how that fits in? Hey, listen, before we do that, I always like to know who's watching out there. We always have people watching from all around the world, and it's so fun because it's really become a real community. And so I really wanted to ask you, if you would, to please share this stream. And when you share the stream, it gets out to so many more people, and it makes such a bigger difference. And if you would, just right now, as we're moving forward, there's a comment box down there, and just let me know where you're watching from, and I'll give you a shout out on the screen, on and off during our broadcast this morning, because it's just fun to be able to interact with people and really to be a community. Hey, listen, I am all about helping people. And the reason we started this broadcast so many years ago was just to be able to help people get their voice out, help people to get more knowledge about digital transformation. When Larry and I joined up together, because Larry's passionate about helping people and doing consulting in a domain that's his area of expertise. Larry, what drives you in reaching out to people?
Well, I think it's, it's the excitement you get when you talk to someone about a new technology and you can just see the light bulb go off in their head that say, that's going to really save me time. That's really going to make my workforce happier. That's a big piece of it too. It's just not time and efficiency. It's having your workforce feel more valued. And I think, these digital tools can address not only efficiencies, but also employee satisfaction.
Yeah, really big time, big time.
Yeah.
So Larry, I know that as you were at Boeing and you were working with a lot of different companies, a lot of different airlines and maintenance companies, all around the world. And there was always someone that was coming to you and they had a business problem. All right. And you guys were always, they may have come to you and said, well, we need, maintenance performance toolbox. All right. And I know that you guys would go through a process of saying, well, what is it you're really trying to do? And what do you really need? And can you sort of describe, how you and your team would actually address that when somebody says, we need to put a solution in place?
Well, I think, you and I have talked about this, Mark. It can't just be a solution. It has to really fit into the business process. And where we almost always started was, well, just kind of diagramming out the process that a particular airline might use to do an overnight turn, or to address a problem at a gate, or to address a scheduled maintenance. Let's just whiteboard it out and try to identify areas that create inefficiencies and areas that are really pain points, and see how, and then overlay a new technology into that process, into that value stream, to be able to quantify the benefits that I just talked about, whether they be financial benefits or just employee satisfaction or just joy in doing your job.
Now, Larry, I know one of the big challenges that every company always has is that you don't have one business problem, you have multiple business problems, right? So you just came in and you looked at that and you said, hey, we can get an ROI in these particular areas. How did you see people go about trying to figure out where would they start? I mean, because you have a broad playing field sometimes.
Yeah, there's the saying that we kicked around a lot, Mark, is think big, start small, go fast. And you just have to find a place to really implement a new technology, or a piece of the process to map out and insert the new technology. And you'll start to be able to ask questions that you didn't even know you could ask before. And so, you have to kind of take a leap of faith, have a business case, but take a leap of faith that you're doing the right thing, and just go and implement somewhere. And as you do that, you'll learn. Think big, start small, go fast.
Yeah. So Larry, I also, when I saw your team, evaluating Toolbox Mobile Library, for example, I know that you partnered with a few people to ensure that you were hitting the business problems right, a few airlines, and you were trying to address that. Can you walk us through sort of the process of partnering with somebody to help you, determine maybe the minimum viable product or something like that?
Yeah, Mark, we did have a pretty, I'm going to say, pretty rigid process. As you start these things out, it's kind of typical product management. We brought in a small group of 5 or 6 airlines to do essentially a focus group, right? So we would bring in the maintenance, pretty much maintenance at the leadership level and at the mechanic level, turning the wrenches, and just go through this process analysis of what they're doing today, whiteboard it out, and where are there areas for improvements, and how can this new technology fit within, and bring efficiencies. But let me be clear, it started out with a small group, focus group of 4 or 5 airlines, and these were anywhere from large guys like down in Dallas to smaller guys like maybe up in Canada, or in Holland. So some of it's important to get a broad brush across the industry, but it's also important to start with a small group. Don't go out to 50 customers. So we did that, and we came up with a product that those 5 customers really liked. And then we really took it a lot broader and did a little bit more, I'm going to say, organized approach in showing this capability to a large group of airlines, 50 or 100 airlines. Given a questionnaire, shown the application, hey, what do you think? And really broaden it out so we get a lot more input. And then the last thing you do is kind of bring it back down to the 5 you started with, right? And have them take all that input and come up with a final product. So it starts really with a small focus group, broadly share what you've done with your customer base, and then bring it back in to really make the final minimum viable product.
Yeah, Larry, it's amazing how when we have these conversations about technology and about blockchain, they seem to always go back to the beginning of what's the problem you're trying to solve? What is the business problem? What's the return on investment? And I know you've seen people who have jumped to the end and went out and bought technology and then come back and tried to figure out how to implement it. How did that go?
Yeah, that's always a frustrating piece, because you got to find the capital to go buy the iPads or the mobile devices, and you got to justify that to someone. And so again, I think this approach where you start with a small group and you're able to build a business case before you go out and decide on a particular device or a particular technology.
Yeah, and Larry, the same scenario applies when we're talking about the next generation of technology. Okay, so we're talking about blockchain. All right, now I've had people come to me and say, what do I need blockchain for? All right, well, I can't even answer that question because I don't understand what your business is doing and what your business problems are.
Well, there's two problems there, Mark. Right? First is, why do I need blockchain? But even more basic than that is, what the heck is blockchain? I mean, right? And I think you've done a great job over the last 6 or 8 weeks helping people understand, and even helping me, old guy like me, understand what blockchain is, how it can fit into your enterprise. So the first question is, what's my business problem? But what the heck is blockchain anyway?
Yeah. So, that's one of the things I realized right away at the beginning is that, it took me several years to understand this. And so I thought, look, I've been on this journey of trying to understand blockchain. And so I wanted to share it with people, and I wanted to bring other people along and help them to better understand blockchain so they could consider it in their solutions. Now, Larry, I have a question for you is that, I've seen a lot of companies in the last 8 weeks that I've done these broadcasts, that are in blockchain that I really didn't even know about. I mean, what do you think about that?
Well, obviously we're going to see new players in this, right? But I think you also see Microsoft and Lufthansa and airlines playing in this space too, because they understand. Well, let me just put it this way. For years and years and years, we wanted to share maintenance data. We wanted to share in-service data. And there have been all sorts of blockades or hurdles to be able to do that around proprietary data. And hey, I'm not going to share my maintenance data with my competitor. But what blockchain does is allow you to be able to share that data, whether it be maintenance data, whether it be passenger or ticketing data, where it be, okay, where's my bag, which is a big deal these days, right? Data, securely. And the encryption that's built in really allows that security or security blanket that we've never had in the past to be able to safely, efficiently, securely, and protect proprietariness of data.
Yeah, definitely one of the things that we've learned over the last 8 weeks in talking to all these people is that the people that are moving forward and are being successful in implementing a blockchain are those which have, diverse sets of data that's available to them from multiple different people, and they need to be able to share it, and it needs to have security, and it needs to be readily accessible, and we need to be able to onboard these people onto these, data sharing kind of an environment. And so,
hey, Mark, you said something there that just struck me. Readily accessible, right? That's so important. And I didn't even think about that till you just said it, that these new tools and new approaches, whether it be an NFT or blockchain, really facilitate that readily available in your wallet or however you access it. That is really powerful. That how often do we say, yeah, I know that data, but I got it somewhere, but I can't seem to find it.
All the time. That happens to us all the time, and Larry, I saw multiple cases of that when I worked at Boeing with you. There was so much data and there were so many different systems that existed that the difficulty in finding the information you were looking for was really half the problem. Once you could find it, you could maybe do an analysis of it, but sometimes just even finding the data was extremely difficult.
That's interesting, Mark. I had a VP at Boeing. He had a favorite saying. He said, if Boeing only knew what Boeing knows, right? Because there was so much knowledge there, but it was always difficult to be able to find the right person. And, this traditional networking was very powerful, of course, and still is, but to be able to find the right information quickly is really powerful.
Yeah. And Larry, you mentioned to me earlier, or you said earlier that you saw some big companies that were, currently entering into it. You said you saw Lufthansa that's entering into that recently?
Yeah, Mark, I was just reading yesterday afternoon about Lufthansa has embraced blockchain. They actually have an initiative. I think it's BC number 4A is what it's called, Blockchain for Aviation, BC 4A. And it's to look across their enterprise about how they can leverage blockchain to be more efficient. I think, I just read about Lufthansa here in the last couple of days. I'm sure other airlines have initiatives to do that. But I think, again, what it was interesting to me, I'm maintenance and I'm always looking, what are they doing for maintenance? But they were doing it around ticketing and the passenger experience, and to be able to buy a ticket, and it has some inherent capabilities within that ticket to easily change it, and to easily get into a lounge or to move your seat. So all those things are kind of enabled by blockchain.
Yeah, and Larry, we've seen so many business applications. We've seen it being applied in maintenance and records, and we've seen it applied in materials, parts. We've seen it applied in reservations. We've seen it in asset management, and then some of the companies that we've had on the broadcast, they've been using it for loyalty programs. And just recently we had SkyThread come on. They're focusing on providing a platform which can enable the aggregation of data across many different sources. And then we take a look at people like Boeing, who currently has some blockchain initiatives going on. And there was something in the news recently on Forbes that what Boeing was doing in that area. But my point is, listen, is that if you look around what's happening around you today, it's happening everywhere. All right. Now, that doesn't mean, hey, I'm going to miss out. I need to jump on the bandwagon and do it. No, what it means is that we need to say, is this an enabling technology that can help me solve my business problem? That's really what we need to do.
But and I think, you kind of touched on it, Mark, these companies have found a broad use for different business processes across their value stream, ticketing or parts or digital twin or maintenance. So they've kind of found a way, as we bring this data together and make it accessible and usable, to solve a lot of different business problems. I saw a term this morning. It's a digital birth certificate, right? If you're doing parts and it's in blockchain from the very beginning, then that part from the day it was born to the day that it died. I shouldn't say die in aviation, but the day that it's retired. That's that. Yeah. And it allows that sort of visibility.
Well, I've had guests on this broadcast in the past that have applications like Air, and Air has back to birth on landing gear and on engines. Right. And so that terminology is real common for life limited parts, for LLPs, and for rotables and things which we have to have a solid, accurate maintenance history. And so, one of the things that blockchain is doing is enabling us to be able to do that. So, Larry, let's just say that we've walked through that process. You've gone through and you've identified that you have some needs. And you've identified that we have an opportunity to apply technology to some particular solution. And now we've started to educate ourselves and become aware of technology that's out there, including blockchain. We go to associations, we go to companies, we go to our own internal organizations, and we familiarize ourselves with this technology. Now we have to go back and reevaluate, okay, how does that change what we're doing? All right. Larry, I found myself doing that constantly when we were involved in the entry into service of the 787. We go to somebody that has business processes in place, right? And we'd say, okay, we have this new technology that's going to come out. Now we have to reevaluate how it's going to change your operation. We would introduce the technology. They would reevaluate how they have to change the business processes. What do we do differently now that we have loadable software parts, or that we're downloading this data, or we have to validate security, or we have ground systems which are required to connect to the aircraft wirelessly. And now they change their business operations, and then they implement the technology and deploy optimized business processes, including the new technology.
That's a great way to put it, Mark. And that kind of last step of what you just described is being able to have this aha moment where introducing this new technology, changing my processes a little bit, saved me a ton of money, right? And you're able to go, to make sure senior leadership understands that it really does reflect both the top and bottom line.
Yeah. So if I could summarize up what we've just talked about, we've said that we need to understand our business problems. We need to go through the process of determining which ones give us the greatest value or return on investment. We need to consider what technology is possible. We need to look at that technology, and if it's introduced into the business process, how does it then change the business process? What's the final business process? And then we need to partner with people, in the deployment and execution. I mean, it's that simple, right?
Right. Mark, this morning we're kind of talking about blockchain, but we've talked about digital transformation and change management for the last 2 years, and helping people understand what that journey looks like for digital transformation or change management. And I think you've been talking about blockchain and NFTs and helping people understand what they are, so they can start to think about and get their head around, okay, how can I implement this new technology? And the steps are pretty much the same. It's just a new, very powerful tool.
Yeah, it really is. And Larry, so in our business in digital aircraft, see, Larry and I partnered together a couple of years ago to provide a number of things in this business. Number one, we do digital transformation, consulting, as well as project implementation. We do sales and marketing, contract sales and marketing, and we also do some capital fundraising and things for people. But the bottom line is that as a business, we try to help people to understand technology and educate people on technology. We try to bring together the best of the people and the companies that we know to be able to enable you to accelerate that journey and to be successful in doing that, all while we're bringing in the best technology for you to be able to optimize and create efficiency really in your business, or bring out, new products and services. And that's
hey, Mark, I got a question for you. So we talked a little bit about the business process this morning and how change management works, but help me understand a little bit about blockchain and NFTs and how those kind of both work together to solve a business problem. Because I know you've talked about that, and I'm still not sure I understand it.
Yeah. So one of the great things that we've seen recently is that, like, for example, is that the company Treiblmaier, they came on board a few weeks ago, and they said, look, there was a problem in the industry, and the problem in the industry was, and you and I know it, you fly and you buy an airline ticket, and then you cancel the flight, and then you go buy another one and you go fly somewhere else. And all of a sudden that ticket disappeared, and you go, where did that e-ticket number go? How do I know where it is? I don't even know what happened. And I got this thousands of dollars of tickets sitting out there, and I don't even know where they are. So Treiblmaier said, what if we tokenized that? What if we put a platform out there to allow you to turn a ticket into an NFT? And that NFT then resided in your wallet, and you were able to exchange that ticket for another ticket more easily and readily. And you were able to potentially exchange that ticket or give it to a family member or give it to a business associate. And the next thing they're going to work on beyond that is, how do I exchange it between airlines? And so basically we're talking about going to the next generation of going from an e-ticket to having a exchangeable NFT, which now is possible to have more flexibility and more access and security and usability of something like that. So blockchain, providing the distributed ledger technology and bringing in an NFT and a token, allowed them to be able to solve that business problem of inaccessibility of airline tickets.
So the NFT, kind of a weird term, NFT is the user interface into the blockchain data.
Yeah, it ends up being a certificate or a token or a pass is what it ends up being. And maybe another good example of that is that, you see, we're trying to help people to be successful in their own businesses, to evaluate where they can use blockchain and NFTs, all right? And in that process, we said, well, let's do some things in digital aircraft to be able to help people to learn, all right? So we have this education portal out there, which has videos and live blockchain broadcasts that we do and things in there. And it's this environment that we put together, which is an asset. It's a business service that we have that helps train people. There's a training course in there on digital transformation. And so we said, well, how can we tie it together with blockchain? We said, okay, listen, we're going to sell an NFT now. And so we're getting ready very soon to sell an NFT. And if you buy that NFT, then you're going to have two things. You're going to have access into our products and services. Voila, I've been able to, better promote my products and services through this NFT. And second of all, we have this NFT now, which someone is going to have as a collectible. And many NFTs in the past, you can't guarantee it, but many NFTs in the past have increased in value just because of the collectible nature of that NFT. It depends upon, what it is and how it's used for. I've mentioned over and over again that the Treiblmaier sold their very first airline ticket for $1,002,000, right? At a tremendous value. So what we're doing is we're bringing together blockchain, my business services, and the NFT to be able to create the valuable product and service and a new marketing tool to be able to bring it forward, and it's done on the blockchain. All right, that's one. The second thing that we're doing is I have so many people that come to me and say, how do I get my voice out there? I'm a business that has valuable products and services. How do I get my voice out there? That's why I started doing these interviews 18 months ago. And,
right.
and I've done 1,000 of them so far. I've helped 1,000 people and companies to be able to get their voice out. All right. And people come to me and they say, how do I get on the stage? All right. Well, I do that on a routine basis with people. And I've done webinars for people, and I do campaigns for people as part of our effort to be able to help people to get their voice out. And so we decided to make that a product as well. And so now we have a second NFT that we've tied to something called Stages. And if you buy this NFT, you now have access to the stage to be able to come into an interview like this and get the message out about your valuable product and service. And then we give the people the video afterwards, and I have people that take the video and they break it up and they use it on their website and they put it out on social media and they repurpose it. And so it becomes a valuable method to be able to get their voice out to an established network and then walk away with an asset. But it's not done yet, is that they still own the NFT. And if they say, I'm not doing this anymore, or it's not working for me, they can sell the NFT to somebody else, and somebody else can use the stage just like what they did. So it's really an incredible way for us to be able to take established products and services that we have and attach them to a new marketing tool on top of the blockchain, and to be able to make them accessible to an established network. I mean, I just think it's really cool. I'm really excited about it, Larry. So.
Yeah, Mark, for a long time, we talked about digital transformation, and we talked about using iPads and maintenance and how to make maintenance more efficient. It's just dawned on me over the last few months, as you've been doing these seminars, webinars, that blockchain and NFTs are the next extension of that. That, I'm going to have my iPad where I'm accessing information, but I'm probably going to have an NFT there, and I'm going to be able to access so much more information, whether it be maintenance information, whether it be my personal travel information. But, it's all collated in one easy to find place. And that's just a logical extension of what we've been talking about for the past 5 years.
Yep, exactly. And so for those of you watching today, I hope you've gained a lot of knowledge and information from the series that we've done over the last 7 weeks. This is the end of the 7th week. We have one more week coming up. And in the next week, what we have is a solution coming on board called Earhart's solution. And it's a blockchain technology solution. We're going to do a live demo of it on Monday. And he was actually my very first guest. He graciously came on the very first broadcast to help us explain the fundamentals of blockchain. And he waited all the way to the end to be able to bring his solution forward and show people his solution. So on Monday, he's going to come forward and he's going to show us his solution. He's a university professor who has a history of aviation, Luis Santos, and he's going to show us the Earhart solution. He has practical real-world experience, and they are deploying a solution for blockchain. And then on Wednesday, we're going to be focusing on this world of blockchain. How do we bring these things together, and how do we create success in that? And then on Friday, I have a really great guest. I have a guest who's on the board of the city of blockchain in the city of Vienna. And we're going to be talking about the future of blockchain. So we've gone from what's the innovation of blockchain? What are the real solutions that exist out there? How do we deploy it? What are the challenges? How do we make this happen? What's the execution? And we're going to wrap it up next Friday with a vision of the future is what we're going to do. So I'm so excited about the direction that we've gone in this and the knowledge that we've been able to acquire. And all of you that have been able to watch this, I hope that you watching have really enjoyed this and have been able to get something valuable out of this.
Well, I think, Mark, you've helped the working man understand what NFTs are and where their value is, and kind of how that interfaces with blockchain and how that can all work but will work to solve a business problem.
Yeah, excellent. So anyway, stand by and watch out for the scheduled broadcast for next week, and help me to wrap this up strong and to bring in a good conclusion to our blockchain and aviation series. And I'm speaking at a couple of conferences coming up this fall on this very topic. I'm going to be at the Aircraft IT Conference in Miami in September, and I'll be speaking on this topic. And so if you're watching, you'll have an opportunity to come and hear more, in person, face-to-face in Miami in the middle of September. I'll provide more information about that. And then there's others I'm doing this fall as well. But we're going to continue to carry this message forward, and so watch out for that. And listen, everybody, I appreciate you being with us and being part of this community, and I hope you get value from it. And I look forward to engaging with you next week and into the future. Larry, thanks for being my return guest who should have been here more, but now you're back. I appreciate it. Thank you so much, Larry.
Hey, thanks, Mark. Always fun.
Yep. Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. I'll close it up like I always do. Fair winds and following seas, and have a great day. And thanks for joining us, and we'll see you on the broadcast on Monday. Bye for now.
Bye.